President Donald J. Trump has been committing crimes since day one. I call on my colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, to do what's right. Impeach Donald J. Trump.
That was Michigan Democrat Cherie Tanadar introducing an impeachment resolution yesterday. I'd never heard of Congressman Cherie, seemingly the genderless wonder. The move forces the House of Representatives to take action on the measure by the end of the week. The unkempt representative introduced 7 articles of impeachment late last month. He accused President Trump of obstruction of justice. That's just an old doozy they love going to. Obstruction of justice, abuse of trade power, bribery, and corruption. He also took a shot at DOJ, calling it flagrantly unconstitutional. House GOP leaders will likely move to table the motion and effectively kill it. But is that the best strategy? Or is not tabling the bill and actually having it a tougher vote for Democrats than for Republicans? This one congressman's rogue effort to force a vote has angered many of his Democrat colleagues. Several of them told Axios that they believe this move to be a desperate stunt and selfish amid the waning support for this particular member of Congress in a contested upcoming Democratic primary. Joining us now is Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. So, Congresswoman, we've seen these last-minute legislative gymnastics where Congressman Cherie, whatever gender that is, has now pulled the legislation for impeachment. What are Democrats doing?
They are scrambling for a message. They do not have a message. They do not have the electorate. They do not have the popular vote, which was made very clear in November. And now impeachment is so serious that we file it and then unfile it in the same week. So we were actually supposed to have a vote on impeachment, and the Congressman Tanadar pulled the impeachment articles from the floor. It was his privileged motion. He filed it. He pulled that vote. Somebody might end up pulling whatever's on top of his head at some point. But, you know, this just goes to show that the Democrats do not have a narrative. They have no serious basis to impeach President Trump, that's all they want to do is remove him from office. But even within their own party, they know that they would get roasted for having this vote because it's not real.
Well, I also am tracking the trajectory of this because in President Trump's first term, Democrats actually believed that it was a wedge issue to force an impeachment vote, that they could get some New Jersey Republicans or swing state Republicans to have to embrace Trump on a day when they might not have wanted to talk about one of his tweets. And here, it seems as though this resolution was pulled because Democrats didn't want to vote on it. Do you get that sense?
That's exactly why it was pulled. There is no way that a Democrat coalition came together and said, let's move forward with this, and it got pulled. He was looking for support. Now, with the first impeachments, the American people, they have seen that Hillary Clinton paid campaign funds to go after President Trump, that President Trump's campaign was spied on, that the FBI came and lied about documents, and all of this has been a sham, and it's been revealed to the American people. Even the January 6th impeachment, it was such a rushed sham impeachment that it wasn't taken seriously. And
but those at least unified the Democrats for the most part. See, this wouldn't.
Yes,
and I think that's why they're afraid of it.
But they know that it won't unify the American people because every time that they attack him, he gets stronger. He gets stronger and more people rally behind him. That's why none of the indictments were able to be held against him during this last election. Every time they filed a suit, more people saw how ridiculous and unserious the Democrat Party is.
So I want to get to the legislative process, and I want to know how seriously they're even engaging in it. I know you serve on the Natural Resources Committee. You do a lot of substantive work around those issue sets. As you all are building this big, beautiful bill, which I probably wouldn't do it precisely this way, but that's why I'm here and you guys are there. Are you seeing any sincere effort on some issues that ought to be nonpartisan, like natural resources, where they're offering good ideas? Or is it just all like impeach, have the Ben & Jerry's ice cream guy get mad at a hearing, and maybe go light a Tesla factory on fire?
Right. I don't see a lot of seriousness coming from the Democrat Party when it comes to this legislative process. That's why you're seeing just motions for impeachment come up suddenly while we're working on this big, beautiful bill. But in the House Natural Resources Committee, we are working to codify parts of President Trump's forestry executive order. And there's about 15 other executive orders that are within this big, beautiful bill, this budget reconciliation. And these are the ones that have a budgetary component. So you aren't going to see a lot of policy changes in this big, beautiful bill. These are the monetary items that we can actually put in this legislation. And so that's what we're moving forward with right now. And then after that, we need to roll out every executive order to codify. I saw that Ro Khanna today actually filed a bill to codify President Trump's pharmaceutical executive order to reduce drug prices. Now, if we put up a Democrat bill to codify an executive order, I will not be happy about that. I will be happy that it gets signed into law, but to have
it takes Ro Khanna to actually have to get Trump's executive orders codified.
A Democrat to codify President Trump's executive order. So it better be a Republican bill, because I see far too many Democrat bills coming up in our House majority and onto the floor. And frankly, it's unacceptable. We need to be rolling out our legislation. You know, Congressman Tim Burchett, he has legislation to remove funding from terrorists. And he's worked on this for 2 years, and it's gone nowhere. And he lit up the speaker today about it. And so hopefully we're going to get that to the floor soon.
Yeah, in the waste, fraud, and abuse that we're looking to cut, I would just think that the low-hanging fruit would be the money we're giving terrorists.
Yes.
What do you think is going to be in this bill that you're going to run on in your district?
So, of course, tax cuts are huge. This is something President Trump ran on. This is something we rallied behind him on. I owned a restaurant, a few of them actually, and I've been a server, and I know that no tax on tips is huge. Even as an employer, I paid tax on the tips that my waitresses made. And so that even benefits the employers whenever you're removing that. No tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. So this is all really great. Now, in the House Natural Resources, actually codifying some of those forestry issues that President Trump has brought up is absolutely huge. In the West, we have more than 6 billion standing dead trees. We have got to manage our forests. If we have unhealthy forests, then we have unhealthy watersheds. Now, I know a Florida man, y'all don't think too much about water because you dig 3 feet and you have it. But in the West, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. And so this is a top issue for us. And so we've got to manage our forests and be good stewards of our land.
And we don't really understand why you don't just remove the dead trees like we do in Florida. There seems to be in some of these blue states like Colorado and California a real aversion to that. I don't understand it.
Yes, and so these are the same folks who implement wilderness zones where we are unable to manage and remove that dead timber or even cut the green timber that is overgrown. These blue states, they would rather have a massive tinderbox waiting to ignite, releasing more carbon emissions, according to NASA, in a few short days than an entire state would release in a year with every vehicle running 24/7. So the same party that cries about carbon emissions and wants you to drive an electric vehicle, unless it's a Tesla, they're fine with letting our forests just burn and emit all of those carbon emissions.
Give me a prediction. Speaker Johnson has said we've got a deadline for Memorial Day to get this legislative work product assembled. Do you think we're going to make it?
I sure hope so. And I think the Rules Committee will be the defining point. There are a lot of managers' amendments that can take place in the Rules Committee. So things that folks are not happy about right now that's come out of their committees of jurisdiction can be adjusted in the Rules Committee. But if some of this stuff doesn't get taken care of, like the Medicaid expansions is for blue states, where the federal government is matching $1.33 for regular Medicaid recipients, but then the expanded illegals and able-bodied adults are getting matched $9 for every $1 spent by the state, which is absurd. So if stuff like that stays in there, this bill isn't going anywhere. But I don't believe that President Trump would allow that to stay in there by the time it got to the floor. And I hope someone is telling him that. Certainly we are sending messages to him, telling him the bad parts of this bill and what we need to correct. And I think that we will be able to do that by Memorial Day.
Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, thanks so much for letting us kind of peek behind the curtain and see what's going on in the Congress. And we hope that the schedule is met, but only if the work product is right. Sometimes in this town, there's just such a desire to complete the task that like the quality of the work doesn't get the attention that you just laid out for us. So we really appreciate it.